Israel has launched preemptive strikes against the Iranian nuclear program, massive attacks by Israeli special forces and fighter jets deep inside Iran, in Tehran, at the Natanz nuclear facility, at other nuclear facilities and ballistic missile facilities throughout the country. Hi, this is Joel Rosenberg in Jerusalem with All Israel News. Breaking news as around 3 a.m. local time in Israel, we were in the entire nation of Israel, 10 million people were awakened by special emergency alerts going off on our phones. This was a message from Homefront Command that the defense minister of Israel, Israel Katz, had declared an emergency, an extreme emergency was what the language was, and that all Israelis would need to take preparatory measures to be ready for a massive attack by Iran, because we were expecting an imminent retaliation. And so we began reporting on All Israel News just a little bit after 3 a.m. I started posting on X and the rest of social media of what was happening. As it began to unfold, what we learned was Israel had launched a massive, and I mean massive, preemptive military attack. I've described attacks like this in novels that I've written. I think of particularly the Tehran Initiative, but we've never actually seen this level of attack. This is the type of attack that myself and many encouraged Prime Minister Netanyahu to launch last year, when Iran, both in April and then again on October 1st of 2024, launched a total of more than 580 ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and suicide drones against Israel. It was two waves of attacks. But as you recall, even though many Israeli officials outside the government, notably former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who was the former Prime Minister of Israel, former Defense Minister of Israel, in an interview I did with him and in interviews he ended up doing with others, he was saying it's now time to hit the head of the octopus. Bennett describes Iran as a terror octopus whose tentacles, like Hamas, one arm, and Hezbollah, the other arm, and the Houthis, another terror arm, and so forth, that Israel is constantly fighting against the tentacles of the octopus, but not hitting the head. Naftali Bennett urged Israeli current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, hit the head of the octopus. It's time. Take out the regime, take out the key facilities and the ballistic missile facilities, not just the nuclear. But Netanyahu chose not to do it. There's a number of reasons why, mainly that U.S. President then Joe Biden told Netanyahu not to. But even literally on the TBN program, the Rosenberg Report, Thursday night, last night, as I record this, I had a new exclusive interview with Naftali Bennett, again, pressing the case that it was time for Netanyahu to hit Iran. Within hours of that report, we actually took the transcript of what Bennett told me at his home in Ra'anana, a Tel Aviv suburb. We posted that on All Israel News around 4 o'clock local time here in Israel. Now, 11 hours later, Netanyahu did just that. I'm not making the connection. I'm just saying there's been a sense of urgency. Now, where are we? So Netanyahu has launched the attack. Why? The reason why Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the IDF into action, after this is something that Netanyahu has spoken about, warned about, said that we might have to take such action. He's been doing this since 2012. So for 13 years, Netanyahu has been considering, planning for, wargaming the possibility of launching the very type of attacks that he ordered to be launched against Iran tonight. Why? Why now? Why is this night different from all other nights? The answer is because Israeli intelligence assessed that the Iranian regime had decided to move forward with building actually 15 operational nuclear warheads in the coming days or coming weeks, perhaps. But And so Netanyahu decided that the country, Israel, had come to the point of no return, that this was a critical crisis moment, and he had to move. Okay. Now, as reports are coming in, we're seeing on social media explosions throughout Tehran, throughout the country. There are reports, unconfirmed as I record this for All Israel News, but there are reports right now that senior Iranian officials, military officials, nuclear scientists have been targeted and perhaps killed. Now, there's also just coming now, as I record this for this YouTube exclusive, we are also getting unconfirmed reports at this moment that Israel has launched a second wave of air attacks, penetrating deep inside Iranian territory to keep hitting these nuclear sites. Now, you have to understand that the Natanz nuclear facility, for example, probably the flagship, the crown jewel in the Iranian nuclear arsenal or empire, the Natanz is a very hardened nuclear research center and development center where they were enriching uranium and, according to Israeli intelligence, preparing to build bombs. This is very hardened, and it's going to take probably multiple rounds of missile strikes on that facility to effectively destroy it. And not just there, but at Fordo and other sites throughout the country. This is something that Israel can't do as easily as U.S. Air Forces could do. U.S. Air Forces have something called bunker buster bombs. These are massive ground penetrating bombs. It's not clear whether Israel has ever been allowed to receive them, purchase them. They asked throughout the Biden administration. President Biden and his team said no. Israel was not allowed to have them. It's possible. There have been some reports, but I can't confirm them right now, that President Trump sold probably sold, but possibly gave such bunker busting bombs to Israel. Now, let's be clear. President Trump has been engaged in diplomacy with Iran. Steve Witkoff, President Trump's chief envoy in the Middle East for these negotiations, is supposed to meet on Saturday for the sixth round of talks with Iran. But the Iranian regime has been rejecting every single proposal that the U.S. has made. Trump had said over the last month or so that he was optimistic that he could get a deal. A deal was close. But then in recent days, Trump has backed off of that and said it's looking further away, and then that he's concerned. And if Iran doesn't make a deal quickly, there's going to be consequences. President Trump was also responding to the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, who publicly and unequivocally rejected the U.S. efforts at diplomacy. This was just a few days ago. So in the light of Supreme Leader Khamenei's complete rejection of U.S. efforts to come to a diplomatic solution, and in light of the Israeli intelligence assessment that Iran's leadership was getting very close or had actually perhaps authorized nuclear bombs to be built, up to 15 of them, Netanyahu has taken this move. Now, 10 million Israelis woke up to these urgent alarms on our phones, even if your phone is in sleep mode, which mine was. But nevertheless, the Israeli government has an override system that allows a shrill tone to come through your phone, so that you have to wake up and look at this message. And this is the message that there's extreme danger to the Israeli home front. This is an extreme emergency. We're not allowed to leave our homes, and we're bracing for what we expect to be an imminent retaliatory attack. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has issued a statement in which he said that the U.S. was not involved in this. In fact, I'm going to get Rubio's exact statement. Meanwhile, so now that's not, I don't want to say that that's the United States distancing itself from Israel. We are seeing reports from senior U.S. and Israeli officials that the U.S. was informed that this was happening. And it's possible, let's just say it's possible that Trump in recent days, who had, by the way, about 2 weeks ago told Netanyahu, don't attack Iran while I'm conducting negotiations. Did Netanyahu defy that, or did Trump say that in order to get the Iranian regime off track, to allow Netanyahu to do a surprise attack? I don't know yet. There's a lot of we're in the sort of the fog of the early stages of this new round, but Netanyahu did go on live television here in Israel in the middle of the night. We have up at allisraelnews.com. You can see the full statement in English by Netanyahu, and I encourage you to do that. The homes of top Iranian political and military officials were targeted in the Israeli airstrikes, according to a senior Israeli political official that we're citing. Now, back to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, a strong evangelical Christian, very pro-Israel and hawkish on Iran. Rubio put out a statement saying, tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Statement put out by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in the early hours of the night, just within the hour around 4 a.m. Netanyahu, as we're quoting him from his statement to the Israeli people, said, quote, "We have no choice but to act quickly. If we don't act now, we simply won't be here." Let me repeat that. Netanyahu is telling the Israeli people and the world that this was an existential crisis, an existential moment, and Israel had to act. Quote, Netanyahu said, "We have no choice but to act quickly. If we do not act now, we simply won't be here." Never again, that quote that Israelis say, that Jews say all over the world after the Holocaust, never again. We're never going to again allow a Hitler-type megalomaniacal genocidal dictator to put the existence of the Jewish people in danger. And Netanyahu said, never again, it's now. We have internalized the lessons of history. When the enemy says he intends to destroy you, believe him. Israeli sources told the Jerusalem Post, "We have identified that the Iranians were on the verge of achieving a nuclear breakthrough within a few days. They have the capability to produce 15 bombs. Their scientists have been working to assemble the bombs." Netanyahu said that in recent months, Iran has taken actions in the field of weaponization that it has never taken before. Netanyahu added that this operation will continue, that meaning the Israeli military strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities and other facilities throughout the country. The operation will continue as long as necessary, and he described this moment as a decisive moment in Israel's history. The IDF itself rarely speaks in the middle of an operation, but the IDF spokesman issued this statement at 4:05 a.m. Israel time. That's 9:05 Eastern in the United States. This is a statement from the IDF. Dozens of Israeli Air Force aircraft recently completed the opening blow, which included strikes on dozens of military targets, including nuclear-related sites in various areas in Iran. The public is requested to follow the instructions of the IDF Home Front Command, which will be updated as necessary. And the IDF encourages the Israeli people to act calmly and responsibly. Quote, "The IDF and the relevant authorities are prepared for a wide range of scenarios in defense and offense that may be needed." Now, the IDF went on to say, for years, the Iranian regime has been waging a direct and indirect campaign of terror against the state of Israel by funding and directing terrorist activities via its proxies across the Middle East, while advancing towards obtaining a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime is the head of the axis responsible for all terrorist attacks against the state of Israel since the beginning of the October 7th war. The IDF continues, the Iranian regime has proclaimed that its objective is to destroy the state of Israel. Senior officials in the Iranian regime have publicly declared their intent to destroy Israel. And are operating to achieve this together with their proxies in the Middle East. The IDF continues, quote, today, Iran is closer than ever to obtaining a nuclear weapon. Weapons of mass destruction in the hands of the Iranian regime are an existential threat to the wider world, not just to Israel, to the wider world. The state of Israel will not allow a regime whose objective is to destroy the state of Israel to obtain weapons of mass destruction. At 4:22 local time here in Israel, 9:22 Eastern in Washington, this statement came out from Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar is currently holding a marathon of calls with his counterparts around the world regarding the Israeli cabinet's decision to remove the Iranian threat of annihilation and the IDF's subsequent action. Also, under the direction of Minister Sa'ar, the Foreign Ministry has begun to operate in an emergency format to operate all of Israel's diplomatic missions around the world. Israel's missions will operate diplomatically and through the media and in all arenas to enable diplomatic legitimacy for this military operation. So that's the report. That's where we are right now. Israel has launched massive military attacks against Iran's nuclear facilities, a massive preemptive attack, the kind that many in the opposition and around even senior American leaders like conservative Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has been urging for months since last year, since Iran attacked Israel directly for the first historic time with missiles, drones, suicide drones, and cruise missiles from Iran. Senator Graham, former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, and others have been urging Prime Minister Netanyahu, take the action, do it now. Otherwise, you're going to lose this opportunity. Biden had told Netanyahu not to do it. Trump had told Netanyahu to do it. But tonight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made history taking preemptive military action against the Iranian regime. We are in the early stages. Much more is coming. Both Israeli, that we are in the middle of the second round of Israeli airstrikes. We believe, there are unconfirmed reports, but we believe Israeli commandos may be on the ground doing sabotage missions against Iranian sites as part of this comprehensive campaign. And we also believe that Iran will launch a retaliatory strike. So Israel's on full alert. The Israeli people are just awakening. As I record this, it's 6 a.m. The sun has just come up, and we are bracing for impact. This is Joel Rosenberg in Jerusalem for All Israel News with this YouTube exclusive. And I would just encourage you, keep tracking with us on our social media accounts, particularly my X account, where I'm providing regular coverage. And we'll keep posting more updates, more stories on allisraelnews.com throughout Thursday. Right now we are, now it's Friday. We were at, the attack began Thursday night U.S. time, but here it is Friday the 13th. Interestingly enough, we are on day 615 of the war that began on October 7th, 2023. Today is the 615th day of war, and now we're in direct war with Iran. Stay tuned, as I say, to our YouTube channel, to our social media channels, and to allisraelnews.com. Again, this is Joel Rosenberg in Jerusalem, asking you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for the peace and the safety of all Israelis in this critical hour. Thank you to all our evangelical friends in the United States and Canada and around the world, and to others who are praying. Turn to the Lord in this critical time. The God of Israel does not slumber or sleep. He will protect us, but we may be in very dark hours and days going forward. So we'll keep you posted. God bless you. Keep praying. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem.